Welcome to an early season edition of Begley's Mailbag. I'm Ian Begley, SNY's NBA insider, and I'm here to take some of your questions on the Knicks and the NBA. Let's start here with Brownsville, NYK. Brownsville wants to know, what are the chances, odds for the Knicks signing Mitchell Robinson to extension before the new year? I'm not a big odds guy. I'm not a big predictions guy, but I could just say what I know, which was there was no serious discussion at all about an extension between Mitchell Robinson and the Knicks before the regular season. I don't know what would kind of flip that on its head between now and the end of the calendar year. Obviously, Robinson playing very well, but Knicks and Robinson's group did not seriously engage in any talks on the extension. And because of that, I would just, if I'm guessing, I would guess that he makes it to free agency. Maybe the Knicks surprise me and they do a deal during the season where they extend Robinson. But the idea that nothing got done before the year and there weren't even any substantive talks, it just leads me to believe that it's unlikely for something to get done before the end of the calendar year. Now, if Robinson continues to impact the game the way he has, and when he's been on the floor at home, this recent homestand, he's been fantastic. Maybe that forces the Knicks' hand because they say we cannot lose this guy in free agency, and maybe the calculus changes a little bit. But just the idea that in general, a player and a team not talking extension before his free agency year, it just speaks to me of the idea that he'll probably get to free agency. But if you want me to guess about before the end of the year, my guess will be no, Brownsville. We've got one here from Stacks the Goat 4. Stacks wants to know, is it safe to guess that Gershon Yabusele will be on the trade block once his restrictions lift on December 15th? He's been losing his minutes in the rotation slowly recently. And yes, Yabusele has not had consistent minutes here yet under Mike Brown. And when he's played, it's been hit or miss. He's hit some threes, but he's also had some rough moments. And so I could see where the speculation comes in with Yabusele and the idea that, hey, it's just not working out here and the Knicks need to make a move. I don't think that's going to be the case, though. My read on it is Yabusele is going to get the timing and the conditioning back that he had last season in Philadelphia. I think when you look at the idea that there was a summer where he played the Olympics 2 summers ago, then he played with the Sixers, most minutes he's played in his NBA career, and then he played in the Euros last offseason. That might have caught up to him a little bit after the Euros in the offseason. And so what I think is he'll get back to his form over the course of this year. And I don't think that the front office and Leon Rose and his group, they invested in Yabusele. They were aggressive in trying to get Yabusele. I don't think they would pull the plug on December 15th or even before February. I do expect Yabusele to play better and to ultimately earn that consistent spot in Mike Brown's rotation. It's noteworthy that it hasn't happened thus far, and it's noteworthy that Yabusele hasn't played consistently well. But I do think things will even out there, and I wouldn't think that Leon Rose in the front office would go ahead and make that trade or pull that plug on Yabusele after they were so aggressive in investing in him in the offseason. Got one from AddyBoy13. AddyBoy says, would you make any trades before the deadline? Now, I would make trades just because it's fun to make trades, but I'm not running the Knicks. So if I'm the Knicks, what do I think will happen? I think that regardless of record, I do think that the idea that you make a trade to shed some salary and to give yourself enough room under the second apron to sign a veteran later in the year, I do think that's something that will be on the table for the Knicks because before their season, even before training camp, they were talking to some agents about the idea that they wanted to bring in a veteran during the season. In terms of when they were talking to guys about coming to camp, coming to compete for a roster spot. That was part of the conversation. And so I just assume that given where they are financially, they could not sign a veteran right now because of that second apron. So they would have to shed some salary in a trade to be able to do that. And so that's where my mind goes trade-wise for this team. Winning or losing, I think that'll be on the table. Obviously, Knicks playing well right now, 5-0 at home. But if things go sideways ahead of February, certainly trades will be a big part of the conversation. But even if everything stays where it is and the record is good, I do think that cash-saving trade would be something that's under consideration. Got a question from ABC 8485. ABC says, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby seem to be thriving the most in Mike Brown's system. What do you see as the biggest changes on both sides of the ball from last year? One thing that I look at least, is the idea that in Mike Brown's offense, you're filling the corners, and you're doing that every time down the floor. And sometimes it's Mikal Bridges, sometimes it's OG Anunoby, sometimes it's others. But Jalen Brunson was talking about the other night. If you drive and the lanes are open, the defense then collapses, you know you can make a blind pass down the baseline to a shooter in the corner because you know somebody's going to be there. And I think Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby have knocked those shots down at a good clip so far this season. And then Mikal Bridges just generally, that shot just looks really strong, and he looks very comfortable in that offense. Maybe it's the ball movement. Maybe it's the ball being in his hands a little bit more. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but he's shooting the ball very well. Also passing the ball extremely well. I think that's one difference between this year and last year. Again, not sure if it's a comfort level thing, not sure if it's a system thing, but his assist numbers are very high, and they're much higher than they were last season, and they're consistent. And so that's a difference there. And for Anunoby, the rebounding numbers much, much higher. And I think part of that is by design because Mike Brown, he's got areas of the floor where he wants his players to crash the offensive glass from. Anunoby, obviously, frequently in those areas, and he's crashing and he's getting rebounds. And I think when you have Karl Towns and Mitchell Robinson down in the paint and opposing teams have to pay attention to those two from a rebounding perspective, it gives Anunoby a chance to go in and make plays and get offensive rebounds, extra possessions. So that's what I would say, too, for Anunoby. I also think just more aggressive in taking the shot that's there for him. I think last year he kind of second-guessed himself, passing up some good looks at certain points in the season, but this year that's not happening. He's been aggressive when he's got the ball and he feels like he has a good shot. He's taking it, and he's making it at a decent clip this year. So very, very good start for the Knick Wings, and we'll see where it goes from here, but you couldn't ask for a better start through 9 games if you're the Knicks. Got one from Hooper Musa. Hooper Musa 1, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Why does Mitch get limited minutes? The idea here for the Knicks is to keep Robinson healthy going into the postseason. And given his injury history, the idea that he's had multiple surgeries, the Knicks have lost him for long stretches of time due to foot, ankle injuries, and the like, they're being cautious. And the medical staff does not want to, I guess, put a lot of stress on Robinson's body in the regular season, so you're going to see him sit games when he's healthy, particularly back-to-backs, all with the idea of him being healthy in the postseason, because you've seen how much impact he can have on a series. You know, go back to that Cleveland series that they won the first round a few years ago. He dominated that series. And then, you know, Philadelphia making an impact. He just makes his presence felt in short spurts in the postseason. You see him do it in the regular season more recently here. So the idea is to keep him healthy, and with Casey Smith, the lead executive for the medical and training staff the Knicks hired from the Dallas Mavericks, there's a plan in place. And it seems like Mitchell Robinson's on board with that plan. So far, that plan has been effective, but that's why you'll see Robinson's minutes limited, especially early on this year. I do think his minutes will grow over time, but I don't think you'll get to a place of the regular season where, you know, he's playing back-to-backs, or if the Knicks have 3 games in 4 nights, he's going, you know, he's giving you all 3. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they will sit him when he's healthy in an effort to have him healthy for that postseason. Got one from Ron from Owings Mills. What's up, Ron? Spreewell Fan 8. He's asking, can the Knicks please keep Josh Hart at 25 minutes a night? He'll be fresh come playoff time, and we need his toughness, pace, rebounding, and if you keep his mind and body fresh, he'll make good passes and good shots. And I think, yes, the Knicks certainly have the depth and the personnel here to keep Hart around 25 minutes, under 25 minutes a night. And it's interesting because I know that One of the coaching candidates, when the Knicks were interviewing coaches, he came in and he presented some data that said, you know, if you have the Knicks starters on the floor after a certain amount of minutes, I don't know what it was, 35, 30, I don't know exactly the minute mark, but there was a minute mark that this coach showed where the numbers kind of tailed off after that 35-minute mark, whatever it was. The players really struggled and did not produce as well after that minute mark. And so the data is there. I think Josh Hart was a part of that group, so the data is there showing that Hart, at a certain point, minutes-wise, total minutes in a game, you know, his production tails off. And so I have to think the Knicks know that. And I think with Brown in a perfect world, with everybody healthy, the Knicks certainly have the depth to do it, keep him around 25 minutes. And I think that's Mike Brown's goal. I'm guessing that's his goal in this rotation if everybody is there for him night in and night out. Our friend KNYT Hoops wants to know, what is your biggest takeaway from this home stretch of games so far? I could go in so many different directions, but one thing that stands out to me is the third quarter. The Knicks struggled in the third quarter before coming home here. I'm looking at the games in Milwaukee, game in Chicago, Miami. I think they got outscored by a few points. And then also the two home games they won at the beginning of the year. I think one of those third quarters they really struggled. And they come back home. And we're taping here on Monday, and they are 4 games into this homestand. And so they've really played well in the third quarter, every game here. And I think if you look at it from a net plus-minus perspective, I think they were like minus 25 in the first few games before the homestand in the third quarter. And they've come out here, and I think they're plus 55 in 4 games. They're 4 games into this homestand. And so I asked around Sunday night, what's the difference? What's going on that's caused this change? And everybody kind of downplayed it, players and Mike Brown included, but it just seems to be attention to detail. That's one thing Jalen Brunson mentioned, just a greater attention to detail, greater understanding of what went wrong in the first half and what they need to clean up. And if you look at that Brooklyn win, again, Nets not a very good team, but look at the defense on Michael Porter Jr. first half to second half. Mike Brown said OG Anunoby and the group made great adjustments, and Michael Porter Jr. was not effective in the second half against New York. So just a small example there of what the Knicks are doing at halftime and how effective it's been in the third quarter lately. Have one from Camille Khan, Camille888, and Camille wants to know any word on if Leon Rose and company will be extended. My understanding was the Knicks never made an announcement on this, but I believe that Rose and most of the front office did get extensions prior to Tom Thibodeau signing his extension. I don't know the exact timeline, but I believe that there was some time attached to Leon Rose's deal and most of the rest of the front office's deal sometime before Thibodeau signed his extension. So that happened, and there was no public announcement of it. But I do think that there were extra years tacked on there. So none of those guys, I don't think, is entering the final year of his deal. I'm talking about the main guys in the front office. I don't know everybody's contract status, but I believe Leon Rose, William Wesley, the assistant general managers in Frank Zanin and Walt Perrin and Brock Aller also, I believe, got an extension recently. So I don't think the mainstays there are entering their final year of their deals or anything like that. That'll do it for this early season edition of Begley's Mailbag here on SNY.TV. But be sure to keep those questions coming because we'll be doing mailbags over the course of this whole season. We look forward to hearing those questions, talking to you guys, and we will see you soon.